Hi, I'm Ellen Chabin. I'm a bereavement counselor with Agape Healthcare.
And I'm Christina Colombo. I'm a bereavement counseling intern here at Agape Healthcare.
Today we're going to talk about rituals and traditions and bereavement.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that I know about rituals and traditions is they are important to just how we are in our community and how we are in the world. They help us really connect to a sense of who we are and connect with each other. What else do you think is important with rituals and traditions?
Rituals and traditions are important because they allow for you to connect with someone that has died and also are important for personal growth.
Absolutely, yeah. And when we're grieving a death loss, creating maybe new rituals or traditions or altering previous ones that we've held can really help us bring that person who died into our space, even though they're physically not here with us anymore.
Exactly, that's a great way to put it. It's sometimes a certain tradition will give you some sense of peace, even though that person is gone,
Yeah.
if you can perform that.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great point. I'm wondering too, so what are some ideas that you have for even if we want to create new rituals and traditions or changing them, what are some thoughts that you have?
I think one thing that people do after someone has died is they'll have a special place in their house where they'll have pictures and mementos of the person.
Absolutely. So like an altar, maybe dedicated to either the person who died or maybe other people that have died. I have an altar in my home that I have like tokens and pictures and just little things that remind me of the people that I have lost. And even like there's like a sand dollar that I found on the beach or a rock or a hair tie, things like that. It could be really special to have that space in your home where you can kind of go to remember that person and either meditate or pray or just think about them, talk to them. Yeah, I think having an altar is a really great way to honor someone. And that makes me think too about the importance of sharing memories and stories, and whether that's something we're doing privately or doing together. Having a way and time, or maybe even time dedicated to sharing stories about the person that we've lost, whether that's at a holiday dinner or just, maybe getting on a phone call and taking time to just talk about the person and laugh and cry and just honor who they were to us and in the world. It's really special.
It really is. I've had a lot of clients say that it means a lot to them when they hear stories, sometimes stories they've never heard before about the person, and they learn a lot from that relationship. And I think a lot of people think talking about someone that has died is going to hurt the person that they're talking to, and a lot of times it has the opposite effect. It gives them a sense of joy or, like I said, learning something about them that they never knew before.
Absolutely, and you're right in that. I think people they're hesitant to bring up the person who died because they don't want to make you feel sad or upset you in any way. I think that the opposite is true. That what I find is when people bring up that person, it actually makes me feel like they're remembering something important about me and about somebody who was important to me, and giving me an opportunity to talk about them and share with others how important they were to me and the memories that we had together. So I think it's actually really helpful and really healing to keep that person alive in spirit, rather than ignore them and pretend like that person didn't exist or that the death never happened. Absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of times just hearing their name, hearing somebody else say their name, just is very, very healing.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are some other things that you can think about with rituals and traditions that might be a unique or creative way to honor somebody right now?
One of the things that people do with like special dinners is they'll actually have a seat for them, even though they're not there, and have maybe their picture on the plate or a candle.
Yeah, you could place a candle there and maybe even tie a ribbon around it with, or with like a tag or something that has their name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be, a placeholder for them
Mm-hmm.
as well. Yeah, I like that idea.
Or another thing that's connecting is food.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe make a special food that that person always liked during a birthday or a special holiday. And if that person was a cook, maybe something that they always made for the family. A lot of times food can bring up really good memories.
Totally. And I just think about clients I've been talking to recently who maybe just celebrated Thanksgiving, and a lot of their practice during Thanksgiving was to prepare foods that their loved one had previously prepared. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's your mom always made Thanksgiving dinner and now you're making that and making those recipes, or even if it's a special dish that they really enjoyed, making sure to make that in honor of them, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a great way to remember people. And we've talked about this in before, and it's COVID times. We're in a pandemic. We can't always be together.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some other ways we can create traditions and rituals and still honor that person when we can't always be in the same room together?
Yeah, it is a little bit more challenging. One of the ideas I like, if you can't get together, is a memory box. You'll have a box and everybody will submit a story, even by text or email, and put it in a box, and then in the future maybe read all those stories about the person on a special day, maybe the person's birthday, or a time that you can get together in the future and be able to share some of those memories, since a lot of us can't be together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anything you can do to use technology to connect right now can be really helpful in not only honoring the person who died, but also in bringing us together and creating a sense of community.
Right.
And whether that's, having calls with each other or sharing dinners over Zoom or something, some virtual platform, it might feel a little awkward. And it can also be really helpful to our grief process.
Sure.
Yeah.
And depending on where you live, if you live in a warmer climate, possibly you'll be able to do things outside. If you do live in Colorado like we do, depending, you could have a 50-degree day on holidays, even in the winter. And maybe you can get together and put a blanket out on the grass or be on a back patio and be able to share some memories of the person. So it's really kind of dependent on that also.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, other things, and we've talked about these things before as well, but there's so many things to just keep in mind as the holidays, and we're in them right now, but remembering taking care of yourself, right? Setting boundaries with yourself and others, and giving yourself permission right now. There's a lot of emotions that come up when we're grieving, and then you add on the extra layer of the pandemic and feeling maybe a little isolated. So I think those emotions sometimes are more intense because of what we're all dealing with right now. So keeping space for that, and allowing yourself to go through all of that and honor all of those feelings, because they're all important.
That's for sure. And just the basics, trying to eat well, trying to drink a lot of water, not being judgmental of yourself, being patient with yourself, trying to get a little bit of exercise at least. Holidays, that gets to be more challenging. Not overdrink alcohol. All of those things will help.
And even if the most you can really muster to do is to sit outside for 15 minutes, when it's nice outside, get some sunshine and breathe and practice that, can really help ground us and reduce our stress levels and levels of anxiety, especially during this time of year, which is stressful enough.
It really is.
Yeah.
So hopefully some of those ideas will be really helpful during the holidays for those that are watching this. You also have a poem that you'd like to read that you thought was...
I do, yeah. I think just finding little things, for me, finding little things, passages in books and poems or music can really help me when I'm grieving. So there's a poem here, it's called For Grief by John O'Donohue that I want to share. When you lose someone you love, your life becomes strange. The ground beneath you gets fragile. Your thoughts make your eyes unsure. And some dead echo drags your voice down where the words have no confidence. Your heart has grown heavy with loss. And though this loss has wounded others too, no one knows what has been taken from you when the silence of absence deepens. Flickers of guilt kindle regret for all that was left unsaid or undone. There are days when you wake up happy, again inside the fullness of life, until the moment breaks, when you're thrown back onto the black tide of loss. Days when you have your heart back, you're able to function well, until in the middle of work or encounter, suddenly, with no warning, you're ambushed by grief. Becomes hard to trust yourself. All you can depend on now is that sorrow will remain faithful to itself. More than you, it knows its way and will find the right time to pull and pull the rope of grief until that coiled hill of tears has reduced to its last drop. Gradually, you will learn acquaintance with the invisible form of your departed. And when the work of grief is done, the wound of loss will heal, and you will have learned to wean your eyes from that gap in the air and be able to enter the hearth in your soul where your loved one has awaited your return all the time.
Thank you. That was beautiful. And thank you for joining us to learn a little bit about traditions and rituals at this time.